Playoff baseball is almost here.
True, Shazier. And today we're talking to Astros first baseman Jon Singleton, who broke into the majors this year in a big way, a whole decade after he got drafted.
Plus, the Dolphins just put the whole league on notice. Ryan Day and the Buckeyes, we want all the smoke. From Wondery, I'm Ryan Shazier.
Yeah, you love getting the smoke from octogenarian ex-head coaches with lisps. I'm Dave Damashek.
And I don't know what octogenarian means, but this is Don't Call It a Comeback.
Don't call it a comeback. I've been waiting on this moment my whole life. Can't call it a comeback. Everybody to your feet, make arenas rise. Yeah, I'm saying from the left to right, we get it on tonight. We do it all, but we don't back down. Just give me one shot, one chance, I'ma take it. Fixing up the game, but these records I keep on breaking.
Shek, I know Jon Singleton's here today, but before we get into that, we got to talk about the Dolphins and what they did on Sunday.
Oh, yeah. Mike McDaniel, Tua, and the rest of them Dolphins played poor hosts to Denver, hanging 70 on Sean Payton and his Broncos.
A-Chain, big hole, turns it on, accelerating. You can kiss him goodbye. 69 points on a 67-yard touchdown run.
Now listen, Shazier, I don't want to overreact to anything, but Tua was almost perfect in this one. I've been telling everybody who will listen for the past year, the Dolphins are the real deal. Tua is an MVP candidate, and 3 weeks in, I look awfully smart. Is he, in fact, the front runner for MVP right now?
You have to say he's the front runner for MVP, especially because how this team is playing ball right now. Everybody else is playing good ball. You know, everybody loved Dallas at first. Everybody loved San Fran. The Eagles are 3-0, but nobody's looking as dominant as the Miami Dolphins, and this is led by Tua. And I was going to say his last name, but I don't want to mess it up. So at the end of the day, Tua, the way he's playing ball right now, the way that he's facilitating the ball, the way that he's getting his playmakers the ball is very dynamic. And the one thing that I really love and hate about the NFL is one moment everybody loves you, the next moment everybody thinks you should in your career. You know, at the beginning of last season, in the middle of last season, Tua was one of the front runners for MVP. And then he ended up getting hurt. And when he got hurt, then people started saying he might not ever play football again. You know, so to me, we're just seeing the same old Tua that we've been seeing ever since he's been in college. It's just now he's healthy. He has a lot of weapons around him, and this team is primed to go far in the playoffs.
Well, I do think some cynicism makes sense here. You know, Tua so hyped after the first time most of us got a look at him was throwing that overtime game winner for Bama against Georgia. You know, he was destined for the stars and drafted ahead of Justin Herbert. Then Herbert makes the bigger splash, and a lot of questions about Tua maybe being a bust. Shazier, evaluate for those of us who, you know, looking at the all-22, make sense of why Mike McDaniel specifically is a perfect fit for Tua, because he doesn't have a cannon like Josh Allen or one of the superhero QBs out there.
So Tua's his best trait is not his arm strength at all, but his best trait is his anticipation and his accuracy. And you see that when they play in these games. And Mike McDaniels, he's under the Kyle Shanahan tree, and you see exactly the way they played offense. They do a really good job of letting their guys get racked, or if you can call it yak, or whatever you want to call it, but putting those guys in position where they get the ball and they're running when they're getting the ball. A lot of quarterbacks are very accurate when it comes to, you know, putting it on the sideline, making these super accurate throws. What Tua does and what Mike McDaniel is doing, they're scheming plays up. They're pinning the plays in fast. So now Tua's at the line of scrimmage. He's already seeing what the defense wants to get in, because once you set up a play fast, the defense, they can't go through their whole Rolodex of cards, because if the plays are coming in quick and you have to hurry up, you have to simplify your defense. If you simplify your defense and the quarterback can see exactly what you're in, then it makes it a lot easier. And most quarterbacks, almost any quarterback in the NFL, if they know exactly what the defense is in, they're going to make a play. Zach Wilson can do it, and I know a lot of people are throwing shade at him right now, but even he can do it if he knows exactly what the defense is in. And the only time you get in situations when you can't do it is when, sometimes your guys are just better than the other guys, or those guys are better than your guys, but they're doing a really good job of scheming them up, making sure Tua sees exactly what he wants to see before the play is set. And Tua already know who he's giving the ball to before the plays even snap.
It's interesting that you mentioned the big arm, and, so many defenses now are trying to take away Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen's preferred method of scoring points in the NFL, which is throwing it over everybody's head, too high safety looks and all of that. Specifically, though, with the Dolphins, you don't want to go zone against Tua and his lethal accuracy. On the other hand, though, you talk about playing fast. There's nothing faster in football right now than Tyreek Hill, but also Jalen Waddle and those running backs. What's the best bet to try and slow down what the Dolphins are doing right now?
So the thing is, the best defense in all the defense is man defense, because you get the plaster to people, and when I mean plaster, you basically hug on them. You're man to man. You're literally looking at the guy that you're guarding, and you're following him everywhere he goes. But the one thing about man to man defense is if your guys aren't skilled enough, or if your coach keeps you in it too long, because I know I said this in the production meeting. If your coach just have you in man-to-man defense all game, your coach basically hates you, because imagine guarding Tyreek Hill man-to-man all the game long. And a lot of times they have these guys in man-to-man defense. They're still going to have a safety over top. They have somebody helping out, but it's very hard because guys can start pulling away from you. So man defense will be the best defense, but you want to sprinkle in zone defenses, zone blitzes, and that's a way that you can kind of control the way that they run their offense. But if you get in the zone offense, then now you get in situations where, hey, Tyreek gets the ball and he hits you in the seam, and boom, now he's running. So if you get in the zone, you have to be very disciplined. You have to understand the weaknesses of your zone, because the quarterbacks understand the weaknesses of those zones, and they're going to try to attack them. So if you're in a cover 2 defense, the weakness of a cover 2 is that deep hole, the right in the middle of the defense between the two safeties. And the linebacker have to get back there, and sometimes they don't get back there. Or it's the deep pockets right between the safeties and the cornerbacks. If you're getting in cover 3, you have the seams right behind the linebackers and right between the safeties. So it just really depends on what coverage you get into, but you have to understand, hey, when we get in this defense, we have to understand this is the weakness of this defense, and we just have to, give up little gains and make them beat us all the way down the field, and not allow those explosive plays. Because Miami, when they played Denver, they had nothing but explosive plays, but they've been doing that all season long.
Well, I hear everything that you're saying, and your point about fans and analysts and everybody fall in and out of love a lot when they're watching pro football, the what have you done for me lately league. What do you see Buffalo Bills hosting this apparently unstoppable Dolphins offense this weekend? Do you feel like McDermott and company have enough tape now to slow that offense down and keep up with them with their high-octane offense up there led by Josh Allen? So
the one thing that I think helps Buffalo compared to when it comes to the Dolphins, Buffalo, their defense is a very potent defense. Like, their defense is a very explosive defense. They make a lot of big plays. I know Von Miller is not 100% healthy yet, but when Von Miller comes back, then they're going to even get even more potent. And they have the weapons to guard those guys. They're not going to go man-to-man all game because, like I said, that's a very sticky situation to be in. But veteran receivers like Tre'Davious White, and they have a younger guy, in Elam. Those guys understand how to, press a guy. They understand how to use their leverage to not allow all that speed to get on top of them to allow those big plays to happen. And then they also have 2 veteran safeties and, veteran linebackers. So they understand, hey, where our weaknesses and where our strengths are at, and we're not going to allow them to beat us over top. Because if you don't allow teams in the NFL to beat you over top, and you make you have 13-play drives, 15-play drives, at the end of the day, quarterbacks get bored. They want to score a touchdown, and they're going to make a mistake. So that's why their defense is good enough. When it comes to Josh Allen, it's more about him controlling the ball and not making a mistake. Because versus a team like this Miami Dolphins team, if you make a mistake in the red zone, boom, now you're giving Tyreek Hill, you're giving Tua a chance to give these guys the ball and get them off running. And then now they're already in field goal range. They're already in touchdown scoring range. So to me, I think the biggest thing about this game is just if Josh Allen can control the ball. Because if Josh Allen can control the ball, I think that they can do okay when it comes to just understanding how to handle the pass game a little bit better.
Imagine we're talking about the Buffalo Bills and mighty Josh Allen having to play keep away from another AFC powerhouse. That's remarkable stuff. Here's a scary thought for the Bills and the rest of the AFC. Jalen Ramsey is on the way. This Miami Dolphins team is going to get one of the best cover corners in pro football by the end of the regular season. Wow, fascinating stuff. Can't wait to watch that one. AFC East tilt. The title of the division may well be hanging in the balance there. Let's right now, though, move out of the football talk, and you stick around for Jon Singleton on Don't Call It a Comeback right after this break, everybody.
Don't call it a comeback.
Shek, let's get into this Jon Singleton comeback.
Let's do it, 5-0. Jon was such a tantalizing prospect. The Astros made him the first player ever to sign a multi-year, multi-million-dollar contract before his major league debut when they gave him a guaranteed $10 million over 5 years. And in his first big league at-bat in 2014, he made it seem like it was a wise financial investment.
And a high drive, right center field. Singleton has hit his first major league homer. First major league hit for Jon Singleton, a no-doubter into the Astros bullpen.
Things went downhill quickly for Jon, though. He missed some time with injuries and 3 separate suspensions for marijuana use. The Astros eventually cut him loose in 2018, but with their first baseman struggling for most of the year, they made the call to bring Jon back for a test run.
Singleton hits one high, hits one deep, fair ball to 3-run bomb it is. Jon Singleton hits his first big league home run in 2,935 days.
8 years, 13 days. That's how much time passed between his 14th big league home run and his 15th home run. It was a long road, but Jon is finally back where he's meant to be, hitting bombs as the Astros are fighting for a wild card spot. Here to talk about his journey back to the bigs, we've got Astros first baseman Jon Singleton. Jon, welcome to the show, man. How are you?
Pretty good. Definitely glad to be here with you guys.
How you doing, Jon? How you doing? So, Jon, we have a comeback show, and I just want to kind of get right into it. So, when you first got to Houston, you know, the Astros were the worst team in the majors when you first got there. But their farm team was full of talent. What was it like to be part of that farm team and just to be a part of that?
Back then it was a lot of fun. There were a lot of great guys in the organization, a lot of young guys, a lot of young talent. Back then we had a lot of fun. That was kind of like the start of, everything kind of changing for the Astros. So it was definitely, a different experience back then.
Well, you come in and now it's, just about a decade ago, Long Beach and all that. You land with Houston and a lot of buzz around you. In 2014, a $10 million contract, the largest ever for someone who had never played in the bigs before. What kind of expectations did you put on yourself, or from the outside, what kind of pressure did you feel directed at you because of the size of that deal?
There's definitely a huge expectation, that was placed on me. I'd say even more so on myself. I expected a lot. I kind of didn't know what to expect from Major League Baseball because, like you said, it's just a place that I haven't experienced yet before. But, things were hard. There were a lot of expectations, and I was just a young kid trying to do the best I could.
I know you don't regret making, getting a $10 million deal, but on some level, do you look back and think, if I wouldn't have made that gargantuan amount of bank right out of the gate, that things might have gone differently in your first stint in Houston?
Honestly, no, I don't think about it. I honestly don't regret it at all either. Everything happens for a reason. Life's a journey, it's a learning experience. I'm just grateful and thankful to be back in this position I am in now.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with you, Jon, when it comes to just everything has its own timing. Every God put us in place where He feel like it's needed. So I definitely agree with you. But as we continue to talk about just your comeback story and what you've been through, can you tell me how you had battled with addiction? In that time, how did it affect you?
It started when I was really young. I guess originally I started probably smoking weed when I was probably 14 to 15. As I got older, once I became a young adult, 19, 20, that's when it probably became more of a habit, and it became a substance that I depended on quite a bit. And honestly, I think, with the added pressure, the expectation of flag baseball, that didn't help the situation at all. So I was definitely, dependent on a substance for a good little period of time. It did something to me. I can definitely say that.
Yeah, so with me playing in NFL, I had a few teammates that kind of went through the same struggles. Like, what extent, was the team aware of what you were going through, and how are you feeling now compared to how things were back in the day?
I mean, back then, I believe the team was very aware of what was going on. Previous to me even playing Major League Baseball, I had failed 3 drug tests, and failed 3 drug tests. So, I mean, they were aware of the situation. I don't want to say they overlooked it, but it's something that they weren't overly concerned with at that point in time. As things kind of went along, that's something they became more and more worried about. So they were definitely aware of it, but it was just a difficult situation, nonetheless.
It's interesting because I would think that you're trying to hide it from the team. You're saying the team was aware, and I guess they would be based on what you said about that it was public information, and you're still productive at that age, and they're aware of it. But do you ever... You say you don't look back and regret anything that's happened because it's gotten you to this point, but does it ever occur to you the timing of it, that if you're born 10 years later in Major League Baseball, nobody raises an eyebrow at somebody smoking weed, right? So do you ever feel like you were victim to some degree of the age that you were doing it?
Not really. Everything changes with due time. So it's just. I don't know how to describe it. It's just, bad timing on my part, or, maybe if 10 years later things will be different, but at the same time, it was still a substance that I was, dependent on heavily. And to be honest, when you're dependent on any substance, you're really not in a good spot. So,
right.
The timing and not really something I really think about too much.
In 2017, my wife is from San Antonio, and her and her family, one part of her family is Astro fans, and the other part are Rangers fans. So in 2017, obviously the Astros went on an incredible run, going to 4, World Series in the last 6 years. What was it like for you in that time?
2017 was like my last year with the Astros. I was actually in AA. It was an interesting turn of events, for the most part. I was in big league campaign that year, so I got to kind of see the staff that started with the team. Things changed a little bit throughout the year, but they were a very good ball club, and it's very nice to watch them win. Unfortunately, I was in a dark spot, so I was kind of bitter about the whole situation, but it was definitely exciting, ball club to watch.
So when do you sort of bridge the gap into a brighter day? You say you were in a dark spot. At what point does do you flip a switch and change your life?
I think we all need time to reflect on our life, where our life is going, how far we come, what we've gone in life. And I think I kind of figured out who I was as a person, as a man, and what I wanted from life. I think that's what would really, push me over the edge to really, change things.
And then you do it, you go, you make it all the way back. You make it with the Brewers for 11 games. And then almost impossibly, as like a storybook season, the Astros reach out to you to come back to that organization. Is it special to you? I'm gleaning from this conversation that you're not maybe as nostalgic as I am or sentimental, but does it mean something extra that it's the Houston Astros of all the big league teams that come a-calling for you?
Yeah, definitely. I'm definitely grateful to, be with this team once again. There are a few people that are still around, Jose Altuve, we've had a pretty good friendship for quite some years. But definitely, I feel like I have a chance to not necessarily prove something, but kind of do what I couldn't do the first time. So, it's great to be back with this team. A lot has changed, but at the same time, you know, there are a lot of people in the organization that I respect, you know, that respect me as well. We've had, you know, numerous conversations, so it's definitely a warm feeling.
And like I said at the top, I mean, is it a warm feeling for you? Is it somehow more meaningful as we talk here in 2023 than maybe it would have been a decade ago? Is you're sitting in the dugout at Fenway Park. Yeah. I mean, are moments like that, do they sink in maybe more than they would have 5-10 years ago?
Definitely, you know, definitely. I'm in a different spot now, so I'm able to enjoy things a little bit more, you know? So knowing that, you know, you can't play baseball forever, especially at this age, you know, you kind of enjoy things a bit more, and you take the time when, you know, you have a chance to kind of sit down and relax. So it definitely means a bit more to me this time. Does the organization, or do you take it upon yourself to maybe counsel younger guys to avoid the pitfalls maybe that you didn't avoid? Right. And is it more pervasive since 2022? Major League Baseball does not take issue with smoking weed. Are there guys that make it tough for you to do that, or do you try to talk them out of that and what the potential pitfalls are? Answer all those questions that I just asked you if you can. You know, I'm an open book. You know, if anyone wants to ask me questions about, you know, the struggles and things that I went through, you know, I'm more than willing to help them, guide them through, you know, certain things with situations and stuff like that. As far as, you know, me personally, I'm not too into everyone else's business, so to speak. You know, whatever they want to do is what they want to do. But I'm glad that baseball has changed their policy when it comes to, you know, marijuana. That's definitely a nice thing to see that they're trending in the right direction when it comes to marijuana, even CBD, you know. So it's definitely nice to see that. But, you know, like I said earlier, if anyone, you know, needs, you know, advice or word or two about pitfalls of, you know, substance abuse, or even if it's not even substance abuse, if it's just about, you know, the downfalls of smoking marijuana, whatever they may be, you know, I'm an open book. I'm willing to help anyone.
All right, so John, this is a day I'm never going to forget, you know, because my wife's birthday is August 12th. So August 11th is the day before that. So this is a day that's really big to you. You hit your first homer in the big leagues after 8 years. I mean, and then 26 minutes later, you hit another one. A lot of dudes don't even do that in their whole career. So take me back to these moments and tell me how you was feeling.
You know, it's definitely one of those moments, you know, you won't ever forget in life. To be honest, when it first happened, you know, I was probably in such shock that it just happened that it didn't kind of register in that moment, you know. But, you know, as the game went on, I was able to actually enjoy what was going on. You know, it didn't really click that this is a huge moment for me and all that I've overcome, and, you know, this long journey that I've been on. So that is definitely one of the biggest moments of my life.
And John, you know, it is a great story, still not yet finished, as you and the Stros chase that wild card spot or maybe even a division title. In the meantime, though, what comeback story do you think we should feature next year on the show?
Honestly, I mean, there's a lot you can go with. You know, everyone's journey is different, you know, and the biggest thing is that I think the underlying value is that regardless of what you're overcoming or coming back from, is that you have the will to not quit. I think that is the most important thing, you know, regardless of whatever you've been through or, you know, whatever journey you're on. That is definitely the biggest value you could have, is to have the resiliency and to have the will to not quit.
Awesome stuff, man. Shazier, any final thoughts from you? The only thing that occurs to me, John, is that your name's Singleton and you're a slugger. Should you be John Extra Baseton?
It would be nice. It would be nice.
Yeah. Okay. Well, best wishes with that.
Definitely. Thank you.
Man, it was nice. It was nice talking to you, John. Man, I really appreciate you, and good luck tonight.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, John, thanks so much for joining us today. Next up here, former Steeler Josh Dobbs is making the most of his chance in Arizona. Time for some other comeback stories in the news we need to give a look at this week. This is the check down. All right, Shazier and I are going to give each other one comeback story from the news. 30 seconds on the clock, ready to break it down. 5-0, you all set?
I'm ready to go.
All right, so Josh Dobbs was a fourth-round pick by your Pittsburgh Steelers back in 2017. Since then, he's played for 6 different NFL teams. Most wrote the Cardinals off for dead when they named Dobbs their starter before Week 1 this year. Dave Damashek was one of them. But Dobbs led Arizona to a win over the vaunted Dallas Cowboys. Shazier, what was your reaction to watching your old pal lead his team to that huge upset last weekend?
I'm not going to lie, man. It was really exciting to see him play that well because you know, he's been an underdog his whole time he's been drafted. Ever since he was a fourth-round draft pick, he really never got a shot. You know, he had to compete with Mason. He had to compete with Ben. He never really won out the spot. Then he'd been to 6 different teams. And just to see that video of him dodging the bullets from Michael Parsons, it's kind of like that team. They dodged the Dallas Cowboys and let everybody know, hey, we're here to play. And I understand we not as good as some of these other teams, but we still in the NFL.
Oh, look at that. You snuck it in there. All right, with the beeper effect. It's enough already. I mean, what's to push back on? Of course. This is a feel-good story. I like it. It's nice.
I'm happy. I'm happy for him, man. He deserves it, man. You know, when you work this hard, you know, you want to get an opportunity like this, and I'm happy he got it.
Yeah, holding off that career in rocket science, yet another football season, it would appear.
So, well, it's my turn, and let's go. I know you don't like my Buckeyes too much, so let's talk about them. My Buckeyes won the game this weekend versus Notre Dame. And after the game, Coach Day got a little spicy. He grabbed the mic and called out former Fighting Irish coach, 86-year-old Lou Holtz. Shek, what do you think about Ryan Day's comments?
I don't understand them at all. Why is he going after the old man who hasn't been relevant in a quarter century? Terrific stuff. You got one over on the guy who was supporting his Fighting Irish football team. Terrific. By the way, you're a physical team and you really proved something. No, what was proven in South Bend last Saturday night is that Kyle McCord is nails. That kid, 21, okay, that's the way of the world these days, older QBs, but 21 years old nevertheless, going into that environment and with the game on the line and some spotty play over the course of the preceding 58 or so minutes, for him to make those nails throws in those spots and then obviously aided across the goal line by the Notre Dame coaching staff. Only 10 men. They were trying to be generous.
Shek, I gave you way more than 30 seconds, first of all.
Okay.
Secondly, man, Lou Holtz, the reason that Coach Day wasn't going out there just to call out Lou Holtz, it's multiple people that constantly throw shots at Ohio State. People constantly said that they weren't good enough this year. Their quarterback wasn't good enough this year. And the one thing about college football and NFL football is in the morning time before the game, if you have a night game, you're watching the shows that's on TV. And imagine you eating breakfast with your kids, with the kids on the team, and all you hear is, you guys aren't good enough. Our receivers are better. Our quarterback is better. Our running back is better. Our O-line is better. You better bring your lunchbox because it's a long day of work. He didn't have no plans of attacking that guy, but it's like, yo, your team wants to know that, hey, when somebody comes after my team, I'm going to stand up for you. And I think that's what happened in that situation. I don't think he really was like attacking Lou Holtz, even though he did. But at the end of the day, it's just like, I think he was just showing people like, hey, you come mess with my kids, I'm here too.
All right. Well done, Ryan Day. You really showed Lou Holtz in the world that you can stick it to. This 80-something-year-old man, a strong gust of wind would blow him off into Lake Michigan, but the Buckeyes showed up and gave him what for? The Fighting Irish too. Again,
so that means
you're welcome again for only putting 10 guys on the field with the game on.
No, it's cool though, Shek. Hey, you know, at the end of the day, we're going to beat all 3 teams in Indiana. We already beat 2, so I'm not tripping.
All right. I have no pushback on that. I'm sticking with it. The Buckeyes are going to lose at least 2 games this season. But for now, that's it for this episode of Don't Call It a Comeback.
So make sure to follow, rate, and review the show on wherever you're listening. Also, check us out on YouTube on the Wondery channel, and make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any episodes. See you all next week.
I've been waiting on this moment my whole life. Can't call it a comeback. Everybody to your feet, make arenas rise. Yeah, I'm saying from the left to right, we get it on tonight. We do it all, but we don't back down. Just give me one shot, one chance, I'ma take it. Fixing up the game, but these records I keep on breaking.